Welcome to Wild, Wacky, Wonderful Humans. This is the podcast that celebrates the quirks, the courage, and the brilliance of being human. I'm your host, Jeanene Tracy, transformational coach and curious explorer. Let's dive in and uncover the magic of being wonderfully human. Today's guest is someone whose work and whose presence feels like an exhale. Oh, so deep, soulful, and utterly freeing. Jennifer Norton, she is a spiritual teacher, she's a creative guide, she's an author of an incredible book called Embracing Brilliance. If you haven't read it, go get it. But what is most powerful about Jennifer is the way that she actually sees life itself. She sees life as art. How cool is that? So in this conversation, we explore what it means to be a life artist, someone who shows up fully, someone who creates moment by moment from truth, love, curiosity. She's speaking my language here. Jen reminds us that we're not here to follow someone else's script. We're here to write our own. And in all its messy, in all its beauty and wild, original glory. That's what we're here to do. We talk about befriending the inner critic. Now, we've all got that, let's be honest. Put your hand up if you know the inner critic far too well. Now, we talk about inviting the voice of the heart to speak louder. And we talk about how play and imagination can lead us back to who we really are. This is really key. And there's also, oh, I love this moment. Jennifer leads a beautiful heart-led meditation. So make sure you make time for that. It's just an incredible moment. If you've ever felt boxed in, dulled down, disconnected from your creative spark, you've got to listen to this one. This is an incredible conversation. Let's dive into this expansive and joyfully honest conversation with the luminous Jennifer Norton. Welcome back to Wild, Wacky, Wonderful Humans. Today I'm so blessed, so blessed. We've been waiting for this moment. We've had this interview scheduled in for a little while and we're both as excited as each other, I believe. With me today, I've got Jennifer Norton. She is someone who walks through life like it's sacred art. Imagine that. Jennifer Norton is an oracle. She's a life artist and a spiritual guide. And she's here to remind us that we're not just here to exist. We are here to create. Oh, that's so juicy. I love it. Jennifer is the author of Embracing Brilliance. It's a beautiful book that invites us to awaken to our true nature, align with our divine blueprint, and live in partnership with spirit. She brings together intuitive insight, creative expression, sacred practices, this is what I love because it's practical, right? And universal laws to help people live with more clarity, more purpose, and more soul. Now, who here doesn't need more of that? Bring it on. Through her life's work as a meditation guide, a spiritual practitioner, an artist, and a teacher, Jennifer helps us dissolve limiting beliefs, deepen our connection to source, and see our lives as masterpieces unfolding with beauty and intention. Oh, I love it. I love it. If you're ready to remember your power and illuminate your brilliance, this conversation is for you. Welcome, Jennifer Norton.
Oh, Jeanene, thank you.
Oh,
I'm delighted to be here. What an introduction.
That's
Thank you.
you. That's just you on a page, right? How great
Oh,
is that?
I hear the invitation in that description and I say, yes, sister, take my hand and let's run towards this. It's good to be with you.
Oh, thank you for being here. It's such a blessing. And the work that you do is a blessing. It's incredible. I love the way that you see life as art and you see us as artists. Because if you think about a blank canvas, there's so much opportunity, there's so much potential, right? When we're stuck into, and you talk a bit about this in the book, when you focus on your fears, the things that you've done your whole life. I've always done it this way and I'll always do it this way. This is the way I am. You know, you
This is
hear people,
me.
yeah, this is me.
Yeah.
You hear people say these things all the time. If you treat life as an artist and a blank canvas, you can create at any time. Doesn't matter how old you are, what experiences you've had.
Or what just happened 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. So, how did you get to this? Because this is huge. This is not just you wake up and go, oh, I'm just going to have a blank canvas and be an artist. Like for our listeners listening now, they might go, all very well. You know, I've got all of this. I've got this pain. I've had these relationships. I've had this upbringing. How do you go from that to bringing out the blank canvas and the palette of colors?
What a beautiful question, Jeanine. Thank you. I will share that I have a background in fine arts. Now, whether or not I'm any good at it, it is not the point of that. Simply that
I
I
love it.
dabble, and even as a child, as all of us did, perhaps before an adult or a teacher or even a classmate said, that doesn't look like an elephant. That looks like, a chair. And there the child begins to shut down and judge themselves. So, like all children, I was innately creative, just as you were, just as all of us are. And I don't want to use the past tense. We are all innately creative. Now, dabbling in the arts and enjoying drawing and painting and sculpting and little things like that as I was growing up, I just enjoyed those hobbies. And it was said that I might be an artist one day. That's a big word. If we touch on my life in Italy, we can also discuss how that word has a totally different meaning in Italy than it does in English.
Oh, I
But
love that. That's an
yeah,
interpretation of perception, isn't it?
as it
Perspective.
is
I
exactly,
love that.
exactly.
Yeah, let's tap
And
into that
so,
if we remember.
yeah, we'll come back. I'll write
Yeah,
it down here. Um,
beautiful.
so I do have a background in fine arts, and don't let that scare you, listeners, loved ones. How I came about understanding that life is creative is not through creating perfect works of art, or even as Jeanine mentioned, I've recently published my first book. It is imperfectly perfect or perfectly imperfect. So the point of creativity is not perhaps what we all believed as children or were told to create something, perfect and displayable and perhaps even buyable or sellable, which can really influence a person's relationship to their creative expression. How do others value it? And so I am getting to the answer. I took it really large.
No, I love this. And I think also talking about how others value it, that's a really important point because we can
Ooh.
spend a lot of our lives worrying about what other people think.
Well, Jeanine, that's why I left art school.
Wow. What
That's why I
happened?
left art school. Uh, I I was having issues with worthiness, and I wasn't able to purchase the supplies I needed for school. This is university level fine art school, so you must have the right brushes and paints. You must.
Mm,
And I didn't. I just
wow.
had a dream and a prayer and a good sense of humor. So I did my best, but I was falling behind. And the reflections, just speaking about others valuing your creative expression, the reflections that I received from my mentors was absolute not good enough.
Wow. It's
And
heartbreaking, isn't it?
it was alarming. However, I had a great teacher. I'm so glad we're talking about this because it never would have come to the front of my awareness. I had a great painting teacher, Simon de Gouvenet, who has transitioned, is no longer with us, a magnificent art teacher. And he sat me down one day and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm drawing the train station as you assigned us all to do." We were out in public doing a drawing assignment. And he said, "No, what are you doing here at this school?" And I said, "I'm learning to be an artist." And he said, "You don't want to. You don't want to be here. Where do you want to be?"
Wow.
And I said,
Wow.
without even thinking, "New York." And he said, "So why don't you go there and do that?"
How insightful.
Mhm.
He knew
Yeah.
before you knew,
Yes.
or before you articulated it. You knew, but you hadn't had an opportunity to identify it and articulate it yet, right?
Absolutely. I was in no position to have that awareness come forth. I was in trauma.
Wow.
I had selected an abusive partner. And so every aspect of my life was uh, in some form of crisis.
Wow.
Now, what does that mean? It means a change is afoot. It doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
anything's wrong per se. I wasn't in the wrong environment or at the wrong school because good Simon came and found me
Yeah.
and gave me an angelic message
Yeah, you needed to be there, right? He
in order for him
needed
to
to
say,
deliver that message. Yeah.
absolutely. So the
How
most
incredible.
trusted mentor that I had in that moment sat down and said, listen to your heart. Don't
Wow.
bullshit me.
Wow.
Can I? Sorry about
You
that. I
can
didn't mean.
absolutely say that. This is wild, wacky, wonderful humans.
Woo!
Please express your true self.
So
Yeah.
Simon he was a beacon in my decision to leave Baltimore and leave art school and move on. Um, and that is a more complex story.
Mm.
And I want to get to answering your question, which
Mm.
is how did I comprehend that life is creative?
Mm.
A lot of loss, a lot of self-criticism, a lot of struggling with my ego that was very quick to call me a failure.
We all know
And
that,
again,
don't we?
yeah, the
Yeah.
beloved protective personality making suggestions so that the individual will either agree or not. And so, as Dr. Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith says, pain pushes until a vision pulls.
I
And so,
love
if
that. Can we pause on that for a moment? Can you say that again? I love Reverend Michael Beckwith. Uh, can you just say that again for our beautiful ears to absorb, our hearts to absorb that?
it's so good, it's so forgiving. Here it is. Pain pushes until a vision pulls, until something greater comes along and says, this isn't for you. This pain is not your identity. You may be in a crisis. You are not the crisis. You've experienced trauma. You're not your trauma. You have a body. You're not your body. You have opinions. You're not your opinions. You have beliefs. You are not your beliefs. You have all these wonderful tools, and you are more than that. You have pain. You're not your pain. And that threshold seems to be when the pain becomes unbearable,
Mm.
intolerable, potentially life alteringly impossible to handle. And that's a sign of birth.
Oh, I
It
love
sounds like,
that.
right?
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm going down the road of the temptation of leaving the human form when pain is so much that we can't stand it. That is the moment. That's the contraction where just now the birth is happening. Is it
So
painful? Can be.
how do we give birth rather than dig a grave?
Ha! What a great way to phrase it. How do we give birth instead of dig a grave rather than? Well,
Because there's a tendency to dig the grave. It's too
absolutely.
hard. I don't want to do this anymore.
I
It's too
can't.
much for me to handle.
Yes. Yes, and that right there, the pull towards the grave, right? Reverend Michael saying pain is pushing you, right? And you're getting pushed, and there's these some sort of suggestion around, I can't. I don't want to. This is not for me. And what is not for me? Because if I allow myself to be still in that moment and not just dig a grave, I can stand there on top of the grave. Where I stand is holy ground. I'm not afraid. So let me listen to the message that's coming up. And what's coming up is a no. My
Oh, I
protected
love that.
personality is frightened by that spiritual authority that is saying, no, this is not mine. The ego or the protected personality hears a resounding no. That's a sacred no. It's unmistakably no. And the protective personality goes, oh my goodness. Oh gosh, something horrible is happening. You should kill yourself. Get out of here. This is horrible. Kill yourself. Why? Because the ego believes you're about to annihilate it with your spiritual awakening. Your epiphany will lessen the ego's control over you. And so when
Mm.
you're about to give birth to a new level of consciousness within yourself, be warned, be prepared that an aspect of the mind, it's the protective personality. Every reference it has is based on the past or projecting a horrible future. But when you ask it for references, it will always reference the past. That's how you know it's the ego talking. And
Great.
it
I was going to
shouts.
ask you that. How do we know this, right? Beautiful.
Mhm,
So it
mhm.
shouts, it
It shouts.
references only the past.
It references only the past. It has a database that you wouldn't believe, and it knows your every trauma and your every fear and your every weakness. If you've got an Achilles heel, it knows it
And
and
does a
will
good job of
puncture it,
reminding. Yeah.
yes, to
Yeah.
get you to stop growing, to not move beyond this current paradigm where the ego knows everything and predicts everything. If you go and do something new, like make a new friend or express yourself creatively in a new way, be prepared that an aspect of self, again, this protective personality, is going to come and criticize you.
Why do you think this is, Jen? Why does our ego hold us to that container?
Its sheer purpose is to keep us alive. It's the fight, fright, flight, fawn, freeze. Okay? And it is the survival mechanism. It's at the top of the spine. It's in the internal part of the brain. It's ancient. And thank God for it. Its only purpose is to make sure that if we're getting chased by a tiger, we get away. And in the modern world, if we're about to step off of a curb and get hit by a bus, that thing that pulls us back or makes me grab you or you grab me, it's here to serve us and keep us alive. Now,
So
it
we need to
tries
honor it
to,
as well, right? So that's, I mean, that's
yes,
a pretty good purpose. So
yes,
honoring that part of ourselves and giving it
yes,
permission to expand.
yes. I tell my ego, I love you and I'm not here to annihilate you. That's your vocabulary, not mine. I would never annihilate you. I need
That's
you.
beautiful.
Here's your job. When or if I'm ever in a life-threatening situation, you take over full command.
I love
Take over.
that.
You have my full permission. Don't even ask. Get me out of trouble. Okay? Do whatever you have to do. However, if I am not in a life-threatening situation, and I know what a life-threatening situation is and isn't, so ask me, dear ego,
Yeah. Let's have a
if you think coming on a
communication
podcast,
on this.
yes,
Yeah.
because my protective personality was jumpy all morning before we met, excited to speak with you and wanting to give a great conversation and worried. Oh, telling me, make sure you're prepared, make sure the lighting is good. And these are all wonderful suggestions, but I do not need incessant reminders from my protective personality about things that are within my physical control, like lighting or a microphone or just relaxing with my good sister friend and just being me and talking with you. So the
It's
ego will show
interesting
up
though that
anytime.
takes over for so many people, right? How many
Yeah.
people, our listeners right now, you listening right now, how many of you in this short conversation so far have had that voice telling you to do something, go somewhere, think something, which is not warranted? It's
Not
always
warranted at
happening,
all.
right?
Meeting
Let's
with a
master
friend.
this. So we're in the right room right now with a beautiful woman who's mastered this, and you understand and you embody this. I'm so keen to learn from you on this. Tell us more, Jen.
Anytime we're about to do something that we care about, that is important to us, our beloved protective personality will show up trying to help. It loves to prove us right.
Yeah.
It is a valuable asset. Just like I have a brain, I am not my brain. I have a body, I'm not my body. I'm more than that. I have an ego. I'm not my ego. I'm more than that.
So
And so
that
I begin,
transition, Jen, from
yeah,
being meeting a new friend or starting something new and having that protective mechanism come into play, the
yes,
bridge between that and stepping into the new. How do we do that?
yes. Great question. My favorite way is to use the word because I respond to language and imagery. So I know my human a bit, my
Yeah, that's
beloved
helpful,
Jennifer.
isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Get to
Yes,
know your human, number one.
number one.
Yeah.
And so I love language, and one word that is very efficient that I can gift to myself when in survival mode is the word responsibility, and I say it backwards. I say ability to respond.
Beautiful.
So that's a bridge in my being
Wow.
from fear, doubt, and worry to co-collaboration. I am able to respond to this, not react. Wait a minute, am I on automatic reactivity or automatic pilot? Because that would be the protective personality habitually taking over and trying to control everything to keep me safe. Its definition of us safe is repeating yesterday, Groundhog's Day, Groundhog's Day.
Who wants Groundhog's Day? No,
I
thank
don't.
you.
No, thank you. There's nothing
No,
creative about that.
no, no. So you say ability to respond, and
Yes.
then that brings
And
you back to your ability to respond, right?
exactly, exactly, because
Okay.
again, the personality reacts, the protective personality, rather, the ego, it's reactive, it's
Mm,
automatic.
mm.
It'll start speaking for us before we even know it has taken over driving the bus.
Yes.
So if I
Yeah.
say I'm able to respond, one, I empower myself through the word able. You know how I learned this, Jeanine? In Italy, the word responsibility is a bad word.
Oh,
Like if you say you're responsible, that's like saying, damn you. And
okay.
so in loving language and living in Italy for 19 years, as you know, I I changed my relationship to a lot of words. And so ability to respond to me is empowering. I'm
Mm,
able. I'm able to respond. I have responsibility.
mm.
Now that word doesn't threaten me. That word empowers me, but not everybody likes that word. If it was used as a weapon while your neurological pathways were being formed as a child, right? And
Mm.
maybe some parents said something about this is your responsibility. If that felt threatening, then the word responsibility is not empowering.
Yeah, and this is where it's important to know you're human, right? To know what you
Exactly.
respond to and how you respond positively. How, when someone's creating the understanding for self, getting to know they're human, how do you know if it's truth or if it's a programming that doesn't work for you? And you think it works for you. You're like, well, yeah, I respond this way because I've always responded this way. How do you know if that's a good thing or if it's detracting you? If
This is
it's
a great question.
propelling you forward through growth for growth, or if it's detracting you from that growth, it's that protector.
I want to say I want to say two answers. First, you know the truth by the way it feels. Now,
Mm,
the argument to that is sure. And for a long time, we all thought the earth was flat and just believed that as true.
yeah,
That's the intellect arguing with the soul, with the heart. So I stand by what I said because the intellect is not the height of intelligence. The heart is.
I
And
love
so
what you say about the intellect. Can you talk about this, about how it's an asset and it's
it
that
is, yeah.
service, right? I love how you talk about this. Can you
Yes,
share that with our
sure.
listeners?
The intellect is a tool, just like the portable sanctuary, the body temple is a tool. It's it's a vehicle. So my intellect, which I come from a family of teachers and humanitarians. My dad's a psychologist. So intellect was celebrated in the home that I was raised in. And
Mm.
it was seen as perhaps more valuable than art.
I think that's probably more common than we realize, right?
Yes,
I think this is a
yes,
common story. You want to go to
yes.
art school? Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
what are we going to do with
Yeah.
you? Right?
But how important are artists? My goodness, these
Essential,
essential.
essential. Yes,
Yeah.
essential to a healthy society.
Yes.
And maybe, just beginning to realize that with the new equipment that we have for studying neurology, we're
Yeah.
now getting to look at the brain and see how it lights up when creating. And so I'll just add right here, listeners, 20 minutes of you doodling, sketching. It doesn't have to look like anything, and no one ever has to see it. 20 minutes of that a day changes your physiology, improves your health, improves your relationship with yourself. So
Wow.
maybe
So
those
dedicated
childhood.
doodling or doodling like doodling while you're doing other things or just fully dedicated doodling? How do we do this? Teach
Either
us.
one is fine. Either one is fine. For example, let's say you're on the phone and you're listening, and it helps you to listen by drawing. My mom used to draw Christmas trees. She'd be on the phone. I can still draw her Christmas tree.
Wow. I do it with
Um,
stars. I always draw
Me too, me
stars.
too.
Oh,
I do.
wow. Different styles, stars, points. Yeah.
Of course we do. We're
Of
luminous.
course. Of course. I love that.
And so,
Oh,
yes, the intellect is an asset. It is a tool that we can develop. And we now know how we define a brain. Jeanene is a neurological center, an aspect of the biological body that influences the nervous system. That's how we have always defined the muscle in the skull. Well, it turns out, come to find out most recently, we've got three brains in the body. One in the skull, one in the chest, it's the heart muscle, and then of course the complexities of the biodome and the gut and all of
Yes.
that. All three release hormones and chemicals to our neurological to our nervous system and influence our neurology. So I say this to share that, beloveds, we've all been for thousands of years believing, and it's okay that we believed this. It's all right that we believed it until we learned something new. We believed that the brain, the intellect, was the height of intelligence. And so we have allowed it to dominate us and cut out the heart, which makes the intellect terrified, and the gut.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, these three energy centers, when they are in alignment and in communication, I am most in integrity with myself. Not my opinions, not my traumas, not my tools. I mean the whole being, the I am that I am.
That's beautiful.
So
So
identify my
connecting the
intellect.
three. Yeah, right.
Ex-
Yeah.
exactly. And so I'm connecting the three and I'm telling my intellect, I love you and I am so grateful for all you have done for all of humanity for 10,000 years, even more. However, beloved, you've been over responsibilized, and that's not fair. You've been made to believe, beloved intellect, that you are the height of intelligence, and you are not. You've done a great job. I love you and thank you. Now it's time to share the weight. You cannot possibly understand everything. I'm so sorry that I've overburdened you, forcing you to believe that you are the beginning and the end of all things. You are not, beloved. You are finite and limited, and your greatest asset is your connection to the infinite mind.
Oh, I love that. I love that because there's so much gratitude in it.
Yes,
It's not going right. Okay, game over. See you later. It's I am so grateful for you. I am sorry that you've had to burden the weight of everything, and now it's time to share the load. I love the compassion and the consideration, the care, the deep empathy for the part that no longer serves in the way that it was set up to serve, right? Or that we
yes,
thought it was set up to serve. I love
yes.
your approach to that.
Thank you, Jeanene. I know the intellect is binary. It has two lobes, and it is very good at this. Right, left. Yes, no. Good, bad. Male, female. Right, good and wrong. Bad and it has a very dualistic skill set. That's fantastic in certain circumstances. It is not, however, how I choose to live because I don't necessarily engage in opposites. I like to see degrees instead of opposites. And so I get to tell my mind, boy, you've been overburdened. Good job. How about we discuss this with the heart? And the human conditioned mind goes, no, 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 no. The heart, it'll have you without a home, without food. You'll give everything away. You can't trust that heart. It'll fall in love with everybody. And then what?
Yeah,
And then
I
you'll go to
love
art
it.
school. What are you going to do with that heart?
Oh, I love it. I love it. The heart can't be trusted, but it's everything. Yeah. Because it's knows better than you. Yeah, so funny. Oh, I love that, Jen. So
Thank you.
how do we give permission for the heart to feel, to be present? We can ask the intellect to take a bit of a backseat for a little while or to share the load.
Yes.
How do we then, if we're so used to allowing the intellect to be the driver, how can we hand over with trust to the heart?
That's a beautiful question. I do suggest communicating verbally with the intellect to let it know because it deserves to know. It's been running the show for a really long time. It's not fair that I pull the rug out from underneath it. So I explain to it what we've just talked about, basically. Love, you're not responsible for everything. Hang on, I have something for you. Yes, you're not being replaced. I'm
This is
enriching.
complementary.
This
Yeah.
is complementary.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm making this decision. You are not intellect. Thank you.
I
And
love
then I
this.
go to the heart. And there are a lot of spiritual teachers who talk about dropping into the heart. So if that visual assists the intellect to go, okay, I see a presence here. Now, if I visualize it dropping down from the top of my spine, down the back of my nasal cavity, down the back of my throat, just following my human spine, down, down, down into this area here. And it doesn't have to be the physical human heart. We're talking about the energy center, the core energy center, which is in the middle of the human chest and can be measured by the electromagnetic devices that we have now. And it just, the electromagnetic field of the heart is larger than the electromagnetic field of the mind. And so perhaps giving your human some visuals, if you're artistic, or like most of the species, you rely on sight. And so perhaps you can have a visual, something you could find online or draw yourself of the journey. What if you draw a map and you put a star, like Jeanene would do, on one part of the page, and you call that mind? And then you draw a star on another part of the page and you call that heart. And then you draw for yourself the voyage from mind to heart. So you give yourself a visual of the path that you are creating for yourself. And now for meditation practice, stillness and silence, because the heart speaks softly. It doesn't shout. So if you're in an argument with yourself mentally, and there's some aggressive languaging or some shouting going on, odds are extremely high that that is not your heart speaking, that that's the intellect who might be panicking around what you are practicing. Again, the entire species has been cut off at the throat and believed and lived on Earth for thousands of years in the agreement that the only intelligence is in the skull. And so imagining the brain kind of like, this is an Italian reference, like a Caesar, right? Been given lots of power,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm going to work with it so that it continues to serve me as that tool, that asset that you suggested, however, is not the boss of me. So who
And
is the boss of me?
yeah. Who?
My suggestion is that there is a consciousness that is aware of having a mind, but isn't the mind, is aware of having a body, is aware that Jeanene and Jennifer are in a conversation right now and is observing the conversation.
Yeah.
That consciousness
Yeah. I love
is
that.
what I believe is our true identity. And
Yeah.
as consciousness, and here we go answering the first question you asked, as consciousness, we are infinitely creative because consciousness is what creates. Full circle. And
Yeah.
so,
Love
and
it.
so as a creature of creation, I am innately creative. The hints are all over our language. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not offended by the word creature. So it immediately aligns me with creation, creator, creativity. And so again, life, the masterpiece, is not about a perfect life. And how would we know that our life was perfect until we drew our last breath anyway? So why obsess over that while creating? In fact, criticism and perfectionism are the death of your imagination. They're just not useful. They're not useful tools.
So for someone who's carrying those two things, because there's a lot of people who carry criticism, and what was the other one? Sorry, criticism and perfectionism.
Judgment,
But
perfectionism.
yeah, perfectionism and criticism. If somebody is carrying those two things, how do they drop those? Like if it's so incessant. Okay, so we give the mind permission to share the load. We start with that. We then come back to the heart, whether it's drawing a map of the journey if you can't visually connect, or you can't get that feeling, because for some people who have been cut off for so long, it might be really difficult to hear the quiet voice, right? Because if they've got that incessant shouting continuously.
Yes.
So,
Criticizing. Yeah.
yeah. So we bring back to the heart. And then what then if the voices are still really prominent and really loud because we've been so conditioned to be an intellect or to hear the voices or even associate or identify ourselves as depressed or anxious or with a mental health disorder, that we give over to that. We give that disorder, that behavior permission to drive the bus. For our listeners who are in that space, who
Yes.
have stepped into the identity of being depressed, anxious, and living that life, how can they break that relationship with that identity?
You phrased it perfectly. It is a self-identification. So at some point in the individual's experience, I'll speak in the first person so that the listeners can really hear it uh, from a first person perspective instead of a
Yeah,
you.
beautiful. Yeah, nice.
So I'm gonna feel that criticism. I'm gonna hear that criticism, and I've already identified with it. Oh my goodness, I am this. I begin to say, I am depressed. One beautiful way to grab a hold of that in an empowering, liberating way is to stop saying I am and to begin to phrase it. Depression is present. Sadness is present. I'm observing the presence of rage. There is a presence of self-hatred, and it is here, and I feel it. And often, Jeanine, this is what I do as a spiritual practitioner. This can be deeply moving, profoundly life altering. So let's say the individuals, let's say I go into my heart. I hear this suggestion from Jeanine and Jennifer, and I draw a map, and then I close my eyes and I invite myself, my awareness to drop into my heart. And I don't know if I'm there or not, but there's some shouting going on. Okay. And so I listen, and it's cruel. It's mean. It's the worst things that I could ever say to myself. And it hurts, but I'm so accustomed to it that I'm kind of numb to it. It's on an incessant reel. It won't stop, right? Okay, so that's where we are. All right, so I'm there. Can I hear it? Yes, I can hear it. Okay, what's it saying? Jennifer, you're fucking worthless. You don't belong on earth. You're not lovable, right? The most horrible things.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
It says terrible things.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Things we would never, ever say to another human being.
No.
Mine has even told me, leave the body,
Yep.
get out of here. You don't belong here.
Yep. Ditto.
So,
Yeah.
so I can hear it. Am I willing to say it out loud? And if not, am I willing to hear it and register what it is saying? For example, let's just pick a sentence, you're not loved. Okay. That's a typical one.
Yeah.
All right. So I hear that you're not loved. I am not loved. I'm not loved. I'm not loved. I'm not loved. That's what it's saying. Heart, did you hear that? I'm not loved. What does that feel like? And this is where we'd want to do a spiritual bypass and pretend none of this is happening and go, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. If we're willing with a practitioner or with ourselves to stay, what does that feel like? And the heart goes, what was that again? I'm unloved. I'm unworthy of love. I am not lovable. And the heart goes, heard you, got it, thank you. What does that feel like? Hell. Here, let me give you a little feeling in your nervous system because I can release hormones and chemicals better than the brain can. You want to know what that feels like? The worst pain imaginable. What does a lie feel like? Here, can you feel sparks shooting off in your nervous system? Can you feel the tears welling up? Can you feel the child who learned that sentence for survival who learned that sentence because it was necessary to learn I am unlovable in order to survive this circumstance. So that belief was there for a reason. It served the person at some point or another. It is no longer serving me. I know it isn't true. Heart, help. Help me. This is incredibly painful. It feels like hatred. It feels like hatred. If I am willing to answer that hatred. And Jeanene, it could come. Have you ever seen a beautiful sunset? Have you ever loved a puppy? Have you ever been hugged by a 6-year-old? Did your grandma love you? Did you ever have a neighbor? Was there ever one instant in your life when you experienced love? Yes. Okay.
Listen to a song or read a book.
There you go.
Ate a meal that you loved. It can be in the
Walked in
simplest
grass.
things. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the beach images that you share, that to me is very healing. Looking at water, being in water.
Yeah, that's love.
That's love. That's love. Drinking water.
Yeah. So tapping into this feeling of the pain first, because I
Yes.
think a lot of people would run away then,
Naturally, of
right?
course.
Yeah, because
Of
it's too
course.
painful to feel. But the reality is, the life that you're living is painful. So if you take a
Bravissima.
moment, if you take a moment
Use
to
that.
feel that now and allow the heart to tap in now, then that pain will ultimately be less. The living pain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I want to heal it, I must be willing to feel it. If I
Yeah.
want to heal it, I must be willing to feel it. And this is where I can use my intellect. Just what you did. I can go back to that dualistic mind, right? Because the protective personality is going, I don't want to deal with this self-loathing,
It's
this
freaking
hatred,
out
this
right now,
lie.
isn't it?
Yes. So we go back to the intellect, binary intellect, and we go, my love, here's your choice. You get to decide, okay? Suffer for the rest of your life with this lie that you know is a lie and hurts so badly that it has influenced every decision. Is that fair? Is that cool? Heart? No, it is not. Okay. Option A. Option,
Yeah, I
option
love it.
B, we go through this discomfort together.
For a
Intellect.
momentary time,
That's right.
small period of time.
Yes.
This is
Yes. Because it
finite.
is brief.
That's right.
It is brief. The
Yeah.
healing is almost instantaneous when we are willing to be with ourselves lovingly, unconditionally lovingly, which means no criticism, no judgment, no opinions. Just what is is. And that's a learned skill too. I had to learn actually how to do that. I wasn't
Yeah.
born knowing it. All
No,
right.
no. And it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of misunderstanding and confusion around it,
Right.
right? But it's
Yes.
trusting that it's the whole, if a kid stopped walking every time they fell down, we wouldn't be walking. As we fall down, we get back up, and we fall down, we get back up. This is also a learning, isn't it? And again, coming back
Yes.
to not being perfect. We don't have to be
Right. Who
perfect
wants
in
to
our
be
healing.
perfect?
No, exactly.
Yeah. Not a single artwork exists that is perfect. Anatomical perfection, sure. Da Vinci nailed it. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
However, what is most beautiful about our relationships with one another are the things that make us us, not my perfections. If I'll tell you something, when I was writing Embracing Brilliance, Jeanene, I was writing it as a textbook because I was crossing a bridge between teaching cinema and theater and really wanting to just focus now on my work as a spiritual practitioner. This is about 10 years ago. And my intellect said, well, isn't that a shame that you have all of this information from decades of work in this industry and you're just going to throw it all away and not really do anything with it?
That's a familiar conversation for many people, I imagine.
Right? Do
You're going to
something
change your
with
mind?
this.
What are you thinking?
How dare you grow? Oh, and before I go into this thing about embracing brilliance, I want to also answer what you said around how do we know when we're in truth and when a lie is present. If this is not a fun answer, y'all, so brace yourselves for this
Get
one
ready for
because we
this
might not
one.
like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
put your seatbelts
Uh,
on.
That's right. Comfort level. Growth. Think about growth. Think about being a teenager. Do you remember when your bones would ache? Think about any kind of expansion that you've been involved with physically, mentally,
Working out at
emotionally,
the gym,
spiritually.
if you're trying to work out at the
Perfect.
gym, muscular
Perfect.
pain. Yep. Yeah.
So growth or with birth and with birth comes what appears to be pain. It can be anything from slight discomfort because it's new and unfamiliar, all the way to what we now know neurologically is that if you and I are talking and you say, "What a beautiful blue sky," and I say, "It's purple," our brains will show a symbol of pain. It's such a slight pain that we may not even cognize. But an adult brain contradicted or challenged has 1 millisecond of pain. So a brain that is challenged might feel discomfort. So that's a hint that when we grow, there is a slight discomfort present. Growth, birth pangs, contractions and expansions. These are words that arise when I'm growing. And I've learned to run towards growth and not resent it or fear it or run away from it. It is not comfortable. Quoting Reverend Michael again, a bad day for the ego is a great day for the soul. And I can attest to that. I can attest to that because the days when I am just finite and doubtful, the very next day, and this is a measured on a 24-hour scale, I have an epiphany. So is the mind aware of change coming through? I don't know what creates that fit, but there's almost like a that happens. And I can
Like
be
an
in tears the
irritation
whole day.
almost, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where the suggestion will be, I am depressed. I am angry. I am anxious. Wait a minute. Sadness is present. Pressure, depression. Pressure is happening. Well, that's part of a diamond being made. Okay. If
Yeah.
I am willing to change my vocabulary, new neurological associations can arise, right? If instead of saying I am depressed, I say pressure is upon me, I feel pressed,
Yes. I love
diamond.
that. Yes.
The suggestion of where is pressure in nature? But right before a volcano explodes. All right, okay. Right before a supernova. All right, I'm getting an idea.
Yeah. This is
There's
starting to make
something
sense. Yeah.
something is
Yeah.
on its way, and
Yeah.
it's most likely going to be slightly uncomfortable when we're growing.
Yeah.
So we get comfortable with being uncomfortable, just like we get all right with being imperfect,
Yeah.
perfectly imperfect. And we learn to
Exactly.
love ourselves.
And going
So thank you
back
for
to,
allowing me to
yeah,
flip
no, that was
that.
perfect. It's going back to, understanding that we have a lifetime of pain or discomfort at one level. And then when we do the work, it's painful in transition. And then when we come out the other side, hopefully and mostly it's less painful. So we
I
go
would say
from the pain through the transition, which can be more painful, and then out into less pain or more comfort.
absolutely. Absolutely. There is a gestation period and a birth as we're growing. And sometimes birth can be bloody and messy and incredibly painful.
Yeah.
And the gift on the other side is you are reborn. You are reborn. And that's Easter, basically.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
right?
The thing,
So,
the thing that I'm hearing here, Jen, is it's whenever you identify with something that is
yes,
preventing your growth, it's around bringing an awareness to a presence, not identifying with that thing that's occurring. And another thing I'm really picking up here is, this is plastered through your book as well, is learning to listen. Because we can't identify that thing, the presence, if we're not listening. So how do we remind ourselves to listen and to not get caught up in the identity of the thing?
you're so good at extracting the essence You're very good at this. I'm so grateful to be in this conversation with you, Jeanine.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
Jen. That really means a lot. I truly appreciate your deep awareness and your kindness and your love for humanity, your love for being these artists that we are and
We are.
identifying when the artist is in stroke
That's right,
at
which
the
is
canvas.
always.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Imagine every experience we've had, we have been co creating with consciousness. Now, before we knew it, we didn't know it. And so anything that happened before we knew it is forgiven.
Yeah,
It's, a,
absolutely.
it's all
Yeah.
right.
We
And
give
now
ourselves such a hard time about that. How did I not know? You didn't know.
I didn't
That's
know.
why you didn't know. You
That's
weren't
right.
privy to
That's
the
right.
information. Yeah.
Again, you're reminding me of Michael Beckwith. He says, I love this, when we talk about old spiritual traditions or how we've evolved in our consciousness as a species, he says, just because we're on the escalator doesn't mean we get mad at the stairs.
I love
We
that.
needed the stairs to
Yeah.
build the escalator. How would
Yeah.
we know?
Exactly. Exactly. I love that.
So all is forgiven.
And also, we can
And
choose between the stairs and the escalator at any time,
isn't
right?
that nice?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And there it is. That's it. That's the epitome of being a life artist, Jeanine, knowing that in any moment I can choose, that nothing is predefined and predetermined, that I'm in a co-collaborative relationship with the intelligence that holds all of creation together. I get to work with that.
Oh, I
And
love the collab. I love that.
isn't it
This is
beautiful?
a this
Because
is
you're
a
not alone.
collaboration. I
Yeah,
love
you have a
that.
silent partner who has all the resources you could ever need, and it sources and supplies your every need. It provides the oxygen that you're breathing. It beats your heart without you having to get involved. Truly, it sources all that is. Keeps the planets in alignment and changes of the seasons. Everything that we've ever needed, it already gave us.
We've
And
got
so
it.
it is present.
Yeah,
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 what a partner.
yeah. I
What a
love that.
collaborator.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
So I begin to identify myself with that. And, we get a hint from sacred scripture of I am that I am. And so who is the I am? And again, we talked about a little bit earlier of the I am is the awareness that can observe life occurring. And so we all have that consciousness, that presence about us. And it is that part of ourselves that connects to an infinite intelligence and to the source of all of life. So that's where the collaboration is. Now, am I willing to identify myself? Because that's the magic word right there. Am I willing to identify myself as an inherently, infinitely creative being? Well, one way that I might be willing to is if I look at my life and see, past or present, that I have and I am creating my experience. And how can I prove that? Change. Change right now. You want to play? Take a Saturday, any Saturday, when you're not feeling a lot of pressure. Start behaving and identifying in a certain way. And then at noon, do the opposite. What your ego would tell you is the polar opposite. And see if you identify as this, would you be willing to identify with this? If you identify as anxious, would you at noon be willing to identify as peaceful, harmonious, and orderly? Because that's a principle of the universe and of creation. Chaos has been disproved as a principle of life. It is not a principle of creation. Chaos is an illusion.
I
So we begin to
love
know our
this.
true self, how we know life. How do you speak of life? Do you speak of life as anxious or do you speak of life as beautiful? All right, so if I said to you, tell me, finish this sentence. Life is
Incredibly adventurous.
great. Now, switch out life with Jeanine is.
Jeanene
Jeanine is
is incredibly adventurous.
great. Now switch
Yeah.
that out with I am.
I am incredibly adventurous.
So another way, perfect, that I can work with my identification is to speak about life. Define life. If source or spirit or God or words that don't jive for you, then tell me, what is life like? And let me tell you, on the days when I go, life is a shitstorm, I'm right. And the days that I say life is a glorious adventure, I turn out to be right. Watch how what we say, how what you say manifests as your perception.
Oh, I
It's a
love
shitty
this.
day. Well, you're right,
Yeah.
because your protected personality and your intellect will prove you right.
You'll look for
And so
evidence, won't you?
Look for
all
evidence.
day long.
Look for it. Yeah.
So I love
Yeah.
this. I love this idea of at noon, swap it out. So if you're this is going to be, I'm going to put this invitation out to our listeners.
Okay.
If you are living in a behavior or an attitude that you're not vibing with or you're not liking, I'm going to invite you to, at midday that day, to change it to
Change the
what
narrative.
you change the narrative. Change it. You are in control of this. And this is what we talked about before. You have a choice. And that's the beauty, is that you have a choice.
You're
What are you
empowered. You're not
choosing?
a victim.
No.
And listen, that day when at noon, when I start to make that first suggestion, my there's going to be a voice inside of me that's going to say, "This is stupid." So listeners, be ready.
And for some of us, it'll be really loud. And there might even be people around you who emanate that voice. It's in stereo. You're
Yes.
stupid. It's like, yeah, I am, and I love it.
And I'm still going to change that narrative. You
Exactly.
know, the willingness to play with self and to play with this silent partner that we have. Okay, so I know a lie is present because it feels horrible. So let's say I wake up that morning and I'm saying something horrible about Jennifer, and at noon I'm going to set my alarm clock and I'm going to say something different. And noon comes around, and here comes that judge, that good old critic who is very pumped up over the decades. She's got lots of references and ways to just cut me off at my knees. She shows up and goes, "This is dumb. You're dumb, and I'm not doing this." Okay, listener. So if you happen to you accept Jeanene's invitation, you find yourself in that moment, and there's a no present, say the opposite. That's in the book too. Say the opposite with no proof. And your protective personality is going to go, "Prove it." No, I'm not going to prove it. I'm playing a game. Remember playtime? Remember creativity? Remember just playing a game? This isn't war. This is a game. So I'm going to play a game. I'm just going to say the opposite of what I'm thinking. There's a thought. I'm thinking I'm a horrible piece of crap. What am I going to say? I'm a lovely, wonderful, delicious being. Jennifer, you don't have any good ideas. I have so many good ideas, I can't even count them. If you're willing to play like that for 5 minutes, you will notice giggles arising. You will notice your inner child will show up. You'll notice freedom, a physical sensation will change. Where there was pain, there will not be pain. Where there was tightness, there will be looseness. You'll breathe deeper than you did all day. Something will change physiologically.
And the lightness that comes with play. How incredible is that sensation, that feeling of being light?
And that's a yes.
That's a
So
yes.
we begin to empower ourselves by going, I know what a no feels like, because a no is the presence of a lie. Not the presence of Jennifer being frightened because she's doing something new, the presence of a lie. And so I begin to give myself experiences of the presence of eternal truth, infinite, immeasurable, doubtless, absolute, unnegotiable truth. And that's what I give my human. I give it something it can trust, not human law, not human opinion, not even Jennifer's opinions. They're lovely. They're just not absolute. They change.
Yeah.
They change. My
Yeah.
moods.
Yep.
Ask me what my favorite color is today. It'll be different tomorrow. So
Yep.
that's lovely, but that's not law. That's not law. And sometimes we need something absolute to lean on when we're not feeling fully ourselves, when we're reaching out for a hand, when we're working on healing ourselves and revealing the truth of our inherent creativity. We need support.
Yeah, especially when the journey starts, right? It can be
Especially.
so much easier to retract than expand when we start, because we go back to the knowing, or the seeming knowing, the thing that we're familiar with, rather than expanding. And so this is when we do need that support, and we do need that trust. There's a really beautiful quote in your book that you've just reminded me of, And it's about, you know, when we play, we're coming alive, aren't we? We're activating, we're bringing energy to our lives. And there's this beautiful quote. I'm going to read it out. It's Howard Thurman, and he talks about this being alive, right? And I just thought this really relevant in this moment. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive.
Who have
Howard
come
Thurman.
alive.
Come alive.
So, listeners and Jeanene, that means something to your heart. Feel that, to come alive. That means something special and unique to you, only to you. And you know what it is. You might not be able to verbalize it yet, but you know when you're near it. You know that there is something, there's a reason you came. There is a spark of genius inside of you that is seeking expression. How do I know this? Because that's how the cosmos behaves. That's how consciousness behaves. And I am one with consciousness. We are all an extension of consciousness. We could not ever be separated from that which created us. And therefore, we are identical to it. Made in the image and likeness is how some would say it. And therefore, everything that is true about this infinite creative intelligence is also true in a micro sense for each individual human. What that means is you are unique, you're irrepeatable. This intelligence never, ever repeats itself. No two grains of sand, no two blades of grass. So certainly, there is not another Jeanene Tracy, there's not another you. There is not.
No.
You're the only one that has ever been or ever will be. If that's not enough to excite you.
And isn't it interesting because we have this tendency to model ourselves on what we think we need to be.
Yes.
We there's this I guess framework that we feel like we have to become. We have to, and it's shifting now, which is really incredible. I mean, when we were growing up, you found a partner, you had kids, you bought a house, you got a job, and you that was your life. It was a very boxed life. Thank goodness now it's, regardless of whether it's acceptable, we'd still do it, right? Because we're life artists. But for a lot of people, they'd be boxed into that. And I really love hearing that we are all so different. And so our experience, our script, our play, our film is very different to anybody else's. And for us to think that we have the same script, and if we don't remember the lines or we don't remember the scene, that we banish ourselves.
Right.
We enforce so much pain on ourselves for not following the script of some other writer or some other
Yes.
group of people.
Yes, society, school, family, general species consciousness. There's so many things that condition and inform us about how to get along in society, how to get along with family. Our intentions are good. We want to be loved and love. And therefore we begin to be sculpted and conditioned by our environment and any number of things. And you're right. I love what you're saying, Jeanene, because, oh, if only we could tell everyone, all sentient beings, you are unique. And of course, you learned from your parents how to get along in your family and in society and school and friends and all of this. And
Which is
still,
also important. We need to
yes,
know how to do that,
absolutely.
but not at the
Absolutely.
sake of losing our authenticity, which is another word you love too, isn't it, Jen?
I do.
Being
I do.
authentic and being uniquely you and the creative life
Yes.
artist that you are.
Whatever that looks like, come what may. So my challenge is to allow that and to not judge or criticize it because I know that if I'm judging or criticizing, there's nothing new that's coming through me. And that I learned how to judge and criticize as a safety mechanism. Now, going to art school, and even you and I learning, there's this idea of, again, what the other says. So I'm referencing Simon again, and this suggestion of his around, what's your heart want? Why are you here? So an individual actually came into my life and asked me, why are you doing what you think others want you to do? He didn't say it in those exact words, but there I was in an environment at 17 that I don't know that I chose, Jeanine.
Wow. And
And
how many
so,
things are we all doing
right,
now, even,
right. I
that we
was
didn't
identified as
choose?
the artist in the family, and therefore, and it got praised and approved of because my brothers couldn't draw. And so
Yeah.
now all of a sudden I have an identity, right,
Mm.
at 6 or 12 or whatever age, right?
Wow.
And so these things begin to happen all of a sudden, right?
You
I
become
was
it.
given,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly. And that's very, very normal.
Very.
It's very normal. I feel that this gentle compassion must be applied to ourselves until we're out in the world. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't ever have to stop applying compassion, but this idea that we may begin our lives. So if you have any listeners who are in their 20s, this is who, or teens, this is who I'm talking to right now. You
Mm.
do not have to figure it all out. And anyone in any decade, let's be honest, at any point in life, you don't have to be perfect, as Jeanine and I said. You're perfectly imperfect, and you don't have to be like anyone else. Please don't, because then you're not going to be you. And you don't
Exactly.
have to
We
figure it
need
all
you.
out.
Mm.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We speak to a dozen different painters, and each one will tell you their process is unique.
Yeah. And
Does does
you go, Jen? Sorry.
does the musician hear the completed composition before they begin composing? Maybe some, but I doubt that. I do believe it is in the creating and in the making, in the witnessing of the thing, that as it comes to life, when it's a suggestion in the mind, it's just here and I haven't expressed it, it is alive, but it's in its inception, it's a seed. I want a baby, right? I'm going to
Yeah.
bring
Give
that
birth
idea
to
of
that one. Yeah.
right, and bring that into
Yeah.
form through whatever expression I like. And so validating, like you said, my script is different than someone else's script. If your script is to be a nurse, then that is your where your creativity lies. If your script is to clean the beautiful streets of Paris, then that is where your artistry lies. I make a suggestion in the book. Yes, anyone can open a car door for their grandmother. We can all do that. The way in which one does that is an opportunity. It's a small example. And it's an opportunity to be creative and expressive every second of life,
And why wouldn't
every
we?
breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I really love that question that Simon asked you. And I would like to extend an invitation to ask that question of our listeners right now. If you're listening right now, to take a moment. And Jen, would you like to ask that question so that we can take a moment to hear the question and respond with our heart?
I would love to. Let us join together, and if it feels good, you may close your eyes if it helps you to concentrate inwardly. And with a sweet inhalation and gentle, natural exhalation, allow that round of breath to drop your awareness into the chamber of the heart. Perhaps you see a room. Know that you are in the heart and you could never be anywhere else. Welcome. This is your home. This is the seat of your soul. And this is a spot in love that you carry around with you and that you can return to at any time. You're safe here, and this is completely your creation. Taking another breath, allowing whatever ideas or emotions arise to simply be released with the exhalation, remaining in the heart. We ask, what do I want? And we listen. What does the heart want? And now part of this exercise is to be willing to be whatever the heart suggests. It's not about doing, it's about being. Your agreement with whatever your beautiful heart suggests is essential for this continued relationship. And so by entering the heart chamber, you are receptive and you are listening. What does the heart know to be true about me? You might get words, you might get images, you might get feelings, vibrations, colors. Just take note. What is true about me? And knowing the heart speaks softly and gently, and declaring that this is an open dialogue and that you are listening. Trust that your heart will continue to bring answers to these questions and that you can return to it and ask for clarity anytime. So taking a nice, sweet, soothing round of breath, inhaling love, compassion, and gratitude. And exhaling, releasing love, compassion, and gratitude into the world.
Wow. I don't know about you listeners, but me, I'm away with the fairies, baby. I'm light, I'm energy, I'm love. Thank you, Jen. That was sensational. And yeah, I think it's a really beautiful, calm reminder of listening to our hearts. And we've talked a lot today about how do we get from our head to our heart. And, you know, one of the things that's been prominent is around not identifying with the pain, but acknowledging that pain is present, or whatever the thing is present. And then the next step is listening, right? So making sure, maybe listening comes first, making sure you are listening so that you can hear the truth of the heart. And I'm not saying that the intellect is not truthful, of course, it's black
Correct.
and white.
Agreed.
And it has its purpose. And the heart also has its purpose. And so when they work together, that's incredible. We haven't even touched on the gut brain yet. And that's another element to bring into it. But I think these two for today are probably enough for us to be going out into the world and truly experiencing life more as a life artist, as a creator, as a allowing the collaboration to take place.
Yeah, I would agree. You express it so beautifully. Yes, yes. Just our willingness to recognize that the heart could contribute to our experience. Jeanene, your invitation to the listeners, if we all just did that, if we all just agreed as a species, hey, the heart wants its part too, could we allow a dialogue between the intellect and the heart? Is everyone just willing to say that that might be possible? If the whole species would just be willing to say that that might be possible, I want to see that. I
Just
want to be here when that.
imagine.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
that's
do it.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm committing to that. And if
me
anyone
too.
is listening to this is committing to that, let's do this. Let's
Let's do
create
it.
that shift, right? Because
Oh,
far too often our heart is forgotten. And the desire to be our full human and write our own script is often missing.
yes,
We're just complying to someone else's script or someone else's story when we are feeling, well, it creates a feeling of loss, or feeling lost and confused and feeling icky or just not aligned. And
right.
so start taking notice of when we're not feeling aligned, when we're not feeling, I want to say right, but right's not the right word, but when we're feeling connected or present. If we're not feeling that, then listen.
That would be the go-to response. If your listeners were going to take one response away from this conversation, let it be pause and listen. You might hear the inner critic shouting. You might hear the soft and sweet voice of the heart. The act of listening, Jeanene, is transformation.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Pause and listen. What's being said in there? Who's talking? Do you agree? Would you like to disagree? You can.
That's beautiful. I think that's good too, having permission to disagree. Like you don't always have to agree. And I love Michael A. Singer's work as well, and he talks about how, we trust the wisdom of the thinking, even when it's contradictory.
Right.
It's like, you should
Even
do
when it's
that. You shouldn't
horrible.
do
Yeah.
that. It's like, wait a minute, you just said I should. Now you're saying I shouldn't. But then we treat it like it's the wise sage. It's like, it's
Yeah.
not the wise sage. It's giving you two contradictory options and saying
Right.
that each of them is correct with conviction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a clue. And you see, Jeanene, that's a beautiful example of sacred listening. Just that awareness is the gate to freedom. The door opens. As soon as we understand that, wait a minute, my intellect did contradict itself.
Yeah.
Janine's right. It does that. Hold on a second. That's a clue. That what you just described is a perfect for Michael Singer, and what you took away from him, a perfect example of pause and listen. What are you hearing? And what you're perceiving is an essential part of this. Our perceptions create our experience. And so if I'm agreeing on automatic pilot with what this twisted version of reality is projecting and perceiving, it's defining my experience. Am I okay with that? And I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not
Yeah,
okay
this
with
is
that.
great. Am I okay to not be okay? Can I give myself permission to not be okay with these thoughts, with this thinking that is
Yeah,
driving the bus and taking me to
yeah,
places I don't want to go,
yeah.
taking me to the
I have a
depths?
exactly one of the most empowering practices I have learned in the last, I would say, decade would be telling my protective personality or the inner critic or the inner judge, however we want to call it, when it's really hankering down on me, to say, not right now.
Mm.
I am not interested in this right now. We have a right, and I don't mean to sound trite, but we have a right to parent ourselves
Yep.
because that is what that voice sounds like to me. The best mother that I could be.
Yeah, yeah,
Telling
so
my
true.
beautiful, yeah,
Yeah,
telling aspects of me that are less mature. Um, no,
yeah, yeah.
you're not driving the bus. You don't have a driver's license. Get in the back. I'm driving, and I'll let you know when you can speak.
That's
Because
great.
right now is not the time for this. I'm not interested in this. Stop. Thank you. No, thank you. Get in the back of the bus. I can speak that way to myself, which is very delicate because I will not be mean when I'm inviting my ego. If I start threatening myself, then it's the ego talking. Careful. Careful when you tell the ego no. Be sure that it is the I am consciousness that is speaking. It's the part of you that is the unconditional lover who is not upset and not violent, is simply the one able to respond, so therefore should be driving. The one who should be driving the bus, the aspect of you that I'd get in the bus with,
I
right?
love
That
that.
you would
Love
invite
that,
others
Jen. Yeah.
because they're safe.
Yeah,
That part of you.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And when you're giving the direction from a place of love and from a place of empathy and from a place of understanding that you do in this moment know what's better,
Yes,
then
you
that
do
will
know
play
what's
out
better.
beautifully. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
And if it
amazing.
feels horrible, much like we describe anxiety, depression, fear, doubt, and worry feeling, it's like ick, we can describe it. If there is an ick present when with your relationship with yourself, there is a lie present.
Yeah, that hits home.
Yeah,
Yeah, take notice, yeah. Listen to that. Feel that. Because it's a
feel it.
feeling, right? I love that. Oh man, we've got so many golden nuggets. I've got a quick fire, rapid fire round of questions for you, Jen, for us to get to know
Okay,
Jen. We could talk on this for hours. I think we need a follow up. We definitely need a follow up. 6 months or so, we'll bring
I'd
Jen
be
back.
happy to.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Great.
And you can check in on our listeners and see how they're going. And for us, there might be the next step or the next phase. And also, Jen has a lot of work online as well. Jen obviously has her book, Embracing Brilliance, and Jen has offered a beautiful gift for you, our listeners.
It's a meditation that is written in the book and also recorded online, and it's my gift to your readers. Normally, people would buy the book to get the link. However, I would love for you to share it with this episode. And basically, it's a three energy centers meditation that unites or aligns the brain, the heart, and the gut, as we conveniently discussed in this episode. It
That's
worked
so
out great.
that's so perfect. So yeah, thank you, Jen. That's an incredible gift. So I'll put that in the show notes for everyone. And then
Thank you.
obviously get your hands on Jen's book. It's incredible. I've read it twice
Oh my
and it's
goodness.
just
Ah,
incredible. And also you just released it on Audible as well.
yes, just
So
released
I'll be
on Audible,
listening
now
I'll be
available.
listening to it as well. And so
How
you
kind.
you recorded it yourself?
I did record it myself, and
Beautiful.
I'll tell the listeners, I intentionally allowed it to be flawed. I have a career as a professional voiceover actor, 20 years of experience, and I speak perfect diction and can pronounce everything perfectly. And Jeanine, I went into the studio with this book and I told myself, Jen, talk the way you're talking with your friends, like I'm talking with you. And so
Beautiful.
my words are clipped. My voice is not always perfect. Sometimes you can hear phlegm. And I'm telling the readers this because the listeners this because this is a part of embracing our brilliance as life artists.
Ah,
You're good
yes.
enough exactly as you are. And we want
Yes.
to hear your stories. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear when your voice cracks. And so allowing that to be part of this creation, I invite listeners, if you like an audiobook, you're going to hear me being wildly imperfect, wildly human, and wildly myself. So if you like audiobooks, please come and give it a listen.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth it. Believe me, you will. The first time I picked up Jen's book, I didn't put it down for 100 pages. It was incredible. So yeah, get yourself on that bus. All right, let's do a rapid fire. Um,
Okay,
so what's a morning ritual you swear by?
prayer.
Beautiful. Any particular type or length?
Yes, affirmative prayer and no length at all. However it comes is how it comes. But I love to start with gratitude.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. That's an incredible way to start your day.
Yes.
A book that lives on your bedside table or on your bookshelf that you pick up regularly.
That's a great question. Um, Anything by Jiddu Krishnamurti, anything by Howard Thurman, anything by Joel Goldsmith, anything by Ernest Holmes, anything by Michael Bernard Beckwith. And my book, Embracing Brilliance, is always in my hands now because I'm doing a lot of projects with it. And so I'll even be that person. I've never been this person in my life, but I'm about to be this person, Jeanine,
I
because you and
love
I love
it.
one another. You're inspiring me. I will say my book also.
I love that, Jen. That's incredible. It's so beautiful. And also, you know, people write books and people write books. You embody the words in your book, which is why the book is so phenomenal because it's come from an embodiment. It hasn't come from a script or hasn't come from just someone writing some words down and then living and breathing it afterwards. It came from your soul. I know that because I know you. And every word on the page has purpose. Every word on the page has resonance, it has vibration. And so for you to be carrying that book is really just you carrying your soul with you.
Oh, goodness, how loving you are, Jeanine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for reading it and feeling me and knowing me well enough to feel me present in the words. I hope that readers take away what you've taken away from it. You've given me the greatest gift, Jeanine, by saying that my intention was realized. Thank you for that
Yeah,
feedback. Thank you for that
absolutely.
reflection.
Thank you for sharing your soul with us, the listeners. It's incredible. Like people, and this is a good reminder for people. If you've got a book in you, if you've got something you want to say it. We need to
Say it.
hear it.
Yes,
We need your brilliance to shine. Yeah.
absolutely. It's essential. And I'll go so far as to say it's why you came. So if there is something inside of you seeking expression, get it out, share
Okay.
it.
Yes,
Yeah,
please do.
we definitely want to
Yes, it's
witness it
your
and celebrate.
responsibility to do so.
Also,
What's the most sacred object in your home?
Dante, my dog. He's not an
Oh,
object, he's a being.
beautiful.
However, he's sacred.
What type of dog is it?
He's a 16-year-old Shih Tzu,
Oh,
a little
beautiful.
Buddha. Yeah,
Oh, so cute.
it's
Oh,
quite sweet.
oh. Your soul in one color today. Just today, because you did say colors change every day.
hmm I'm going with a deep turquoise.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
thank
A
you.
phrase
What
or
color is
affirmation?
your soul
Mine
today?
today. Let me just tap in. Mine is a very, very dark purple indigo.
Mm, yum.
Delicious. Woo! A phrase or affirmation that moves you.
I've said it several times here today, so it's on the tip of my tongue. I am. It's incredibly powerful.
Thank you. The art form that lights you up the most.
This is a beautiful question. All of them and living. I have to say living.
I love that
Life.
you see living as an art form. That's such a lesson for us. Thank you. Your go to grounding practice when the world feels loud. I'll say that again. Your go to grounding practice when the world feels loud.
Bathtub, absolutely submerging in water. Naked feet on earth, any kind of earth, and breath, breathing, breath work.
Beautiful. What would the title of your next your I'll read that again. What would the title of your life's next chapter be? What's your life's next chapter?
Yes, and thank you.
Ooh, I like that.
Thank you. That's a great question.
What's something you wish more people understood about spirituality?
That we are all spiritual beings. The definition of something spiritual is metaphysical. Therefore, anything invisible falls under the category of spiritual. So I would love it if we would all agree that we have aspects to self that are beyond the body, that we have a presence, a spiritual side of ourselves, that we are more than the thing that comes into form and leaves form.
Oh yeah, yes, yes to that. What makes you feel wild, wacky, and wonderful?
Friendship, sisterhood, you. It's true.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Back at you. It's incredible. Now, I've just got three more questions for you today, and these are questions that I ask all of my guests. The
Okay.
first one is, what is one of the wildest things you've done?
One of the wildest things I've done is in my early 30s, I just up and left the United States. I left my life, my career, my family and friends in my city, left New York City, and moved to Florence, Italy. And basically restarted life all over because I couldn't speak the language. Went back to toddlerhood, basically.
Yeah. Talk about losing all control.
Absolutely. Just basically threw it all up in the wind and to see where it would land. And that was pretty wacky and wild and memorable, life altering.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was one of the wackiest things you've done?
Wacky. I when I was 17, I was at art school, as we previously discussed, in Baltimore. It was orientation weekend. The entire school had arrived. I didn't know anyone. I knew two people. And someone came to me and said they were going to project Rocky Horror Picture Show. Are you familiar with that
I
movie?
love that.
Okay.
Yes.
At
Oh
17,
my
I had not
gosh.
seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
So you've been in the theater, in the
Oh,
sala when Rocky
yes.
Horror, so you bring squirt guns, you bring all kinds of
Yes.
stuff, you talk back to the
It's a
movie.
whole thing. Yep.
I knew nothing of what was going to go down that evening. I was simply told by an individual, you're an actor, just watch the screen, right? Watch the screen and do whatever they do. We'll all be with you and follow along. And of course, who was I? I was Janet, damn it.
Damn it, Janet.
Right? And
I
so
love
on
you.
screen, exactly. I mean, I should have taken a smaller role, but there I was in front of the student body, messing this thing up like a champion. Not one word, not one moment was correct or truthful or right for the environment. I flubbed that up better than anyone could ever flub up a thing ever. And I still went to school that Monday and showed my face on campus and didn't drop dead from humiliation. But that was wacky. And looking back, even an hour after the event, during the event, I was thinking, what did I agree to? Can I leave the building? Like, if I just leave, how bad would it be if I just leave, if I just run home right now?
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
wacky.
Get me out
Yeah.
of here. Yeah, wow. That's pretty
But
wacky. And
that's,
that's pretty unkind that no one told you what it
oh
was
my
about.
goodness.
My God. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
And that was the first of many times where I would just jump in front of a group of strangers and do the thing that I had to do. Um,
Good on you.
but
That's
yeah, wacky.
inspiration. Nice. And my last
Thank you.
question for you today, what makes humans wonderful?
Oh, what a beautiful question, Jeanene. Everything. I'll be a better guest than that. What makes humans wonderful?
You're an incredible guest. What are you talking about? You are the
What?
best in this very moment that you can possibly be.
Thank you, sister. That's kind. What makes humans wonderful is everything from our ability to forgive. That's a big one.
That's huge.
Our creativity and the unique and beautiful and precious and important ways that we are ourselves. We are human beings, not human doings. Hear me. How we be, what we be, that's what matters, not what we do, but how we be, the quality of our beingness. That's what makes us wonderful. And in that, there is great liberty and creativity.
Oh, I love those words, Jen. This is one of my favorite mantras. We're not human doings. That's why we're called human beings. I just love that. And it's so true, isn't it? And that sense of forgiveness and that sense of wonder and, stepping into the being, stepping in to the heart. That's a way to activate the being, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
It's shifting that identity from I am what I do to I be. I am what I am. I am that I am.
That's
And that's
beautiful.
enough.
It is
That's
enough, isn't it?
plenty. Oh,
Yeah, we
yeah.
we are enough, exactly as we are.
Right
Even
now.
though we've talked about the stepping out of the pain and into the discomfort and then into the growth, we're also just enough as we are right now.
Absolutely. Just as I needed to be at art school for Simon to send me away, everything that brought us where we are right now is perfectly lovingly designed for our liberation. It's for us. Life is for us, not against us. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect, just as it is.
I love that. Thank you
I
so
love you.
much. I love you, Jen. Thank
Oh,
you so
Janine.
much for being here and sharing your heart and soul with us. Where can our listeners find you? What is
You
the
can
best way?
find me
I'll put it in the
anywhere
show
from,
notes as well. So I just want to hear it from
come
you,
find me
Jen.
on Instagram. Yeah. Come, if you're on the social networks, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on Insight Timer. I'm on YouTube, and you'll get that link to the recording. So come and say hi on YouTube. Um, you can, of course, I have a Facebook group for Embracing Brilliance where I share the news about all of us being creative geniuses. So you can come find me there. Yeah.
And what about the work that you do, Jen? If people want to engage with you, you've
Oh, thank
mentioned a
you.
couple of times with your spiritual coaching as well. How
Yes,
do
you
they
can
find you?
reach me. The easiest way to find me is simply through my website, jennorton.com. That's the fastest way to find me. And my handles on the social networks are I am Jen Norton. So
Beautiful.
should
And
be
I'll put,
fairly easy to
yeah,
find me.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'll put all of
Or
that in the
ask
show.
Jeanene. Jeanene knows
Yeah,
how to get a hold of me.
exactly. I'll send you there. And what an incredible opportunity to connect with an incredible human. And, I feel extremely blessed that you said yes, that you showed up.
Sister, this
And
invitation is a gift. Thank you for inviting me. I love how you speak with people. I love how you celebrate life. I love how you embrace and inspire. You are the embodiment of grace and beauty, uniquely communicating, playing, inviting, sharing, investigating, the way you ask questions with your guests and you bring us out that the best version of our current self may be shown and shared. You are highly gifted, sister, and I'm honored to be in your care. Thank you for this invitation and this conversation. I love you.
I'm receiving that. Thank you so much. I'm so blessed. Thank you. I love you. And thank you for sharing yourself with us in this
My
incredible
honor.
conversation. Until next time.
Mwah.
Wow. Just wow. I don't know about you, but I feel lighter. I feel more connected. I feel like I've been given permission to just be fully, beautifully, imperfectly. There is so much that we covered in this conversation. I don't even know where to start. We talked about embracing the opposite of our limiting thoughts, to tuning in to our inner guidance through breath and play. Jennifer reminded us that our heart knows. Listen to our heart. It really knows. She taught us that creativity is sacred, that we're allowed to talk back to the voice that says we're not enough. Oh, yeah, baby, do it. Take control of that voice and even put it in the back seat of the bus. And we didn't even get to all of it. There's so much more in her work that we didn't even get to. The intelligence of the body, the importance of wonder, and what it means to create a life outside of the script, creating a life from the inside out. If something in this conversation moved you, I encourage you to pause, not to analyze, but to listen, to really feel what your heart is saying. Feel it. Allow your heart to speak louder. Jennifer's book, Embracing Brilliance, is now on Audible. And trust me, hearing her speak it is like being wrapped in a warm, wise hug. It's such an incredible book. And also, she's generously gifted us access to her 3 energy centers meditation. She's gifted that to you as a listener. It's in the show notes, so go grab it. You won't regret it. Believe me, this woman is just incredible. Anything she offers, grab it with 2 hands. Feel it, experience it. It's worth it. And if you feel called, share this episode with someone who might need a little reminder that they're not broken, that their uniqueness matters. We matter. Every single one of us matters. Remind them that being human is a wild, wacky, and truly wonderful thing. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep listening to your heart and keep showing up as you are. Thanks for tuning in to Wild, Wacky, Wonderful Humans. If you had fun, share it with someone just as wild and wonderful as you. Stay wild, stay wonderful, stay wacky, and I'll catch you next time.